Rob, obviously you said you want to fight across the globe. We've done Paris. How are you finding the Saudi experience?
انت قلت انه انت بدك تحارب حوالين العالم. حاربت بباريس. وش رايك بالمصارعه حاليا؟
Yeah, it's one of the perks of the job. I've been able to travel the world and fight in very exotic places, and I've been able to tick off a lot of history. So to be here for the first Saudi event in history, I'm very lucky.
آه طبعا هاي ميزات الشغل اللي نحن بنشتغل فيه، انه نحن فينا نسافر حوالين العالم. وشرف لي انه اكون موجود هون باول حدث موجود بالمملكه العربيه السعوديه.
Obviously, when you hear Hamzat's out of the fight, your first thought is, well, I need a replacement. I still want to compete. But does any part of you allow yourself to be disappointed that a big fight has fallen through, or do you just have to switch on the attention to the next guy right away?
طبعا في انت ممكن مباريات انت خسرت فيها من قبل، وفي هذا الاشي برجعك لورا، او في عندك طبعا او دافع ممكن يخليك تقدم لقدام.
I'm not really worried about too much and who I'm fighting. If I'm going to be honest, I'm here to fight. I was fit, I was ready, and this is how I provide for my family. So I wanted everyone knew I wanted to fight. I'm here, so I'm going to fight.
طبعا هذا الاشي ما بيرجعني لورا. في انا عندي دافع انه هذا الاشي بيساعدني انا كمان اعطي لعائلتي واعطي احط اكل على الطاوله فور اكزامبل. طبعا انا دائما بكون جاهز لاي مباراه ممكن تكون موجوده.
I'm sure you come up with game plans for your opponent, but at this stage where you're so close to the fight, right, does it even matter who they're going to throw at you where, this might be a completely different style, or are you just so ready and so willing to compete at this point that it doesn't even matter the name that comes towards you?
طبعا في انت دائما بيكون في عندك حدا مختلف دائما، وكل واحد عنده ستايل او تكنيك معين هو بحب يتبعه. هل هذا الاشي بيأثر عليك؟
Honestly, that by this stage in the camp, all the work's been done. I'm fit, I'm strong, I'm sharp, and all the skills that I worked with Chimaev, for Chimaev, they no skill is wasted, no skill is useless, and a lot of it is can be used in this fight. So all the work's been done. I'm ready.
كل الشغل اللي تساوى هو اوريدي خلص. انا اتدربت مع شمايف، كنا من قبل، وطبعا ما في اشي او مهاره نحن نكسبها هي بتروح على الهدر. طبعا انا تدربت وانا جاهز للمبارزه اللي حتكون موجوده.
I saw that you didn't know who Ikram was when they offered you the fight. I'm sure you've done your research now. You just mentioned that some of the skills you had for Chimaev could have applied to this one. Do you see them as similar sort of opponents? Do they have similar styles in your mind?
طبعا انت كنت متدرب لتبارز شمايف، او هلا انت حتبارز اكرام. طبعا انت كنت من قبل ما كنت عارف مين هو اكرام، او هلا صرت عارف مين هو. هل هو في عندك حيكون في لاحظت او في ممكن اشياء تتشابه بينه وبين شمايف؟
They're very different opponents. Like I think working the amount of wrestling I did for Chimaev will definitely come into play into this fight. And a big thing has been about us pushing the game plan onto our opponents, and that's been kind of a constant throughout my career. So I look forward to getting in there and seeing how he deals with the amount of tools and skill sets that I'm going to bring.
طبعا هم مبارزين جدا مختلفين عن بعض. واتوقع كل شيء اللي انا دربته كرمال شمايف كمان حيجي بالمساعده وقت ما ببارز اكرام. وانا بطلع ان شاء الله على اللي ممكن هو يجيبه على الحلبة يوم بكره، واسف يوم السبت، و بطلع انه ابارزه.
Going into the Paulo fight, you said you needed to get the beast back and you were in there to hurt him, not just fight him. Is that a mentality that you saw successful in that fight, so you're going to keep pushing that going into each fight? And is that what you mean about pushing your own game plan?
Sorry.
انت كنت قبل بالبولو فايت قايل انت فايت على المباراه انت بدك تعوره مش بس تبارزه. هل هذا الاشي انت قصدك فيه بالخطه اللي انت عندك اياها؟
It was definitely part of the equation, and as much as it's a sport, it's a combat sport. We're in there and we're doing combat. We're two warriors going in there, and we're gonna we're going to really test our mettle. So the idea to get in there and be the hunter and just hunt him down and hurt him until he goes away is very much the game plan.
طبعا هاي نحن اثنيناتنا نحن مبارزين ومعروف نحن بالشغل اللي نحن فيه انه هذا الاشي هو المطلوب انه انت تشيل الخصم اللي قدامك فطبعا هاي هي جزء من الخطة اللي انا عندي اياها.
I know your calendar doesn't go past Saturday, but if you could ideally put the stakes on this fight, what would you like them to be, right? When it was Chimaev, it seemed obvious the winner, title shot. Now Ikram's come in, lower ranked guy. Do you think that affects it, or do you think the fact that you've done the UFC a favor by taking this fight short notice should still get you that title shot if you win?
طبعا كنت من قبل وقت ما كان الموضوع مع شمايف كان ممكن معروف ايش هي النتيجة بس ولكن حاليا بما انه اختلف المصارع نفسه هل انت بفكرك انه انت عم تعمل ختمه لليو اف سي انك انت عم تاخذ حدا اقل من الرانكينج اللي انت كان لازم تبارزه؟
The only sure thing in the UFC is that winning opens doors, and you know my focus, as you said, my focus is solely on this Saturday night, getting my hand raised, and I'll worry about the rest afterwards.
طبعا مع يو اف سي هو طبعا كل مرة بتفوز بفتح لك أبواب أكثر فطبعا أنا كل تركيزي على يوم السبت وإني أفوز على بيوم السبت.
Is the Khamzat fight something that you still would want down the line, or is it you just kind of past it now?
الكونتاكت فايت هل هي لسه شغلة بالنسبة لك لسه بترغبها ولا خلاص إشي صار من زمان يعني خلاص ما عادش بدك إياه؟
You know, if he's around at the top of the game and I'm around the top of the game, we you know our paths will cross. It wasn't anything. I don't have any particular opponents that I look to fight. It's just they give me a name and I say yes, and then we're here.
طبعا أنا ما في عندي اسم معين أنا بدي أبارزه ولا ما بدي أبارزه اللي هن بيعطوني إياه كاسم أنا بدي أبارزه.
And Israel Adesanya, he did like a breakdown and he basically said that he thinks you're going to beat the brakes off of Aliskerov. I just wanted to get your reaction on that.
طبعا إسرائيل قال لك من قبل إنه what was the name? Sorry.
Israel Adesanya.
Israel Adesanya. Can you repeat your question? Actually, sorry.
Israel Adesanya said he's going to beat the brakes. That Robert's going to beat the brakes off of Aliskerov. So I just want a reaction to that.
Okay. إسرائيل قال إنه هو حيبارز دان وكان هو بس حباله يعرف ايش هو الرياكشن الاثاره تبعيتك بالموضوع.
You know, I'm going in there pretty confident too. I've trained everything. I've ticked every box. I've hit every milestone that I need to. I'm going to go in there the best version of myself. And like I said, I'm looking to put him away.
طبعا انا تدربت عملت كل اللي علي فكل شيء اللي انا مطلوب مني انا سويته وانا فايت على المباراه وانا عارف شو اللي ممكن يطلع بس انا جاهز للموضوع.
Okay, and I know you've probably been asked a lot, obviously because you've been in there with Dricus, been in there with Israel, but I just want to get your thoughts on the fight and how do you think it plays out?
طبعا انت كنت بمباريات قبل مع اسرائيل ولا مع تشيكيف من قبل فبس حبيت اعرف ايش شعورك بالمباراه حاليا.
Honestly, you'd have to. I think Dricus fighting Sean displayed a level of pressure that he can put, which is to stop a pressure fighter like Sean. I thought that was pretty impressive. He's tough and dogged in that effect, and then we saw Sean have a lot of success against Adesanya, pushing forward, pushing that pace, being in his face. So you'd have to, make the connections that's what Dricus is going to do to Adesanya, and unless Adesanya's done something to counter that since the last time we crossed Sean's path, and it might be a long night.
لازم تشوف إذا تشيكيز عمل إشي مختلف من آخر مرة هو بارز شكنيا وبدنا نشوف إذا هو حيعمل إشي مختلف هالمرة.
Robert, your former opponent Chimaev and your current opponent Ikram, they actually fought some 5 years ago. Obviously, time passes, people evolve, things change. But did you have the chance to watch that fight? And if yes, did you learn something from it? From neither of them?
إكرام وشمايف تبارزوا مع بعض من 5 سنوات. هل قدرت تطلع أنت على هالمباراة من قبل، وهل قدرت أنت تعرف شغلات ممكن تقدر تاخذها كرمال المباراة يوم السبت؟
You know, I think it just displays how good Aliskerov is. You know, he before he lost, he was giving Chimaev a hard time. And obviously 5 years is a long time. I'm not the fighter I was 5 years ago. I'm a much better version of it. But yeah, you know, I think it just lends to the gravity and the respect that I'm giving this fight.
Still on a similar note, it's obviously like a very hard.
طبعا من 5 سنوات للآن أنا طبعا كمان تغيرت زي كل المصارعين الثانيين تغيروا. ف بالعكس يعني اكيد نحن طلعنا عليها، وفي عندنا كمان التكنيكس اللي ممكن ناخذها منها، ولكن انا بطلع على يوم السبت وكيف ممكن اتعلم من تجارب سابقه وشو اسمه احارب باحسن ما عندي.
Still on the same note, you mentioned about like the qualities of Ikram, but it's always hard when a fight is canceled, or at least you replace an opponent in the fight week. For your case, especially, like you're looking to climb up the mountain again to get back in title contention. Obviously, some sort of conversations happen in the backstage and whatnot. But is there any space left to feel a little bit of gratitude? Because I'm sure fighting Bob Knuckles with 1 week of notice is not a thing that like everybody would say, oh yeah, please come. So is there any space left for it, or all you think is just like, yeah, just let me go there and kill that guy?
طبعا تغيير المصارع او المقاتل على اخر دقيقه هو شيء مش كل حدا بيرغبه، او شيء هو المستحب بالموضوع. وانت شو كان شعورك بتغيير المصارع نفسه؟
There's a lot of gratitude. There's gratitude to my team. There's gratitude to the UFC, and there's gratitude to Ikram for taking the fight. Like I said, this is how I provide for my family. So without all those components, this fight wouldn't be happening, and I wouldn't be doing that. So there's a lot of gratitude, but in the same sentence, I still want to kill him. It's that's the game. That's the aim of the game.
طبعا في شكر كثير كبير ليو اف سي، وفي طبعا شكر كثير كبير لاكرام انه هو قبل بهالتحدي اللي هو موجود. وزي ما انا قلت من قبل انه هذا الاشي بيساعدني انه انا امن معيشه كريمه لاهلي. فبنفس الجمله ممكن اقول لك انا بدي اقتله، بس كمان مشكور له.
And finally, just to compliment a colleague's question, he asked about like maybe there's some sort of gratitude coming from the UFC for you taking a last-minute opponent, etc., etc. My question is slightly different. There was some sort of conversation about that. Was that something that you and your team put forward and say like, listen, Khamzat's not fighting. That was a fight that most likely would put you in title contention once again. Is that something that you kind of demanded to be kept by for taking Ikram in with 1 week notice?
طبعا اللقب هو إشي كل حدا بده يناله. هل أنت حطيتها كشرط إنه لازم تبارز حدا أو لازم تبارز إكرام كرمال تكون تنحط على موضوع التايتل أو اللقب؟
My biggest concern was making sure that the fight happened. Was going through with the fight. And my biggest concern now is beating Ikram. Like I said before, doors open when you win. And he's a hard fight. He's a dangerous opponent. And I got my hands full with that.
طبعا أنا كان في عندي إصرار من عندي إنه يكون في مباراة يوم السبت. وفي هلا صار عندي إصرار ثاني إنه بدي أهزمه يوم السبت. فطبعا هذا هو الهدف اللي عندي إياه.
Robert, last night, open workouts. My bad. Continue.
Robert, when the Ikram fight was just announced, you mentioned that Ikram is even dangerous than Khamzat. Do you still believe so?
طبعا انت وقت ما شو اسمه صار الاعلان على المباراه مع اكرام، انت قلت انه اكرام كمان مقاتل شرس، ممكن اشرس من المقاتل اللي قبله. هل وجهة نظرك تغيرت الآن؟
Yeah, definitely. He's very much, a dangerous opponent. It's whether or not he's more like you can look at it on paper that he might be more dangerous because of how well rounded he is, but honestly, every fight brings a level of threat and a level of danger that has to be addressed.
طبعا كل مبارزة هي موجودة حتجيب نوع من المخاطرة اللي هي موجودة فيها وما في مبارزة موجودة ما بتخلى من المخاطر. طبعا إكرام نفسه هو في عليه زي خطورة منه، ولكن أنا حاول قد ما فيني بالمباراة يوم السبت إنه أقدم أحسن ما عندي.
Speaking about odds, it's even. But before the Khamzat fight, you were a big underdog. Very surprised of that.
طبعا من قبل وقت ما كانت المبارزة مع حمزة كنت انت اللي او معروفك شو كانت النتيجة. هل اختلفت بوجهة نظرك النتيجة حاليا؟
Didn't know until you told me. Like is what it is. None of that really matters, does it?
طبعا ما كنت عارف بهذا الموضوع من خبر ما انت تخبرني، بس هذا الموضوع غير مهم حاليا.
Robert, last night, the open workouts, you come out to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and you've got fans and the chants of Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi were going up. Does that surprise you? My local friends here in Saudi are telling me you have a big following here, a cult following. Is that surprising to you?
كنت من قبل ما امبارح انت بس ما طلعت كان في عندك بعض المشجعين عم بيقولوا لك اوزي اوزي اوزي. طبعا هل وطلع انه تبين انه في عندك جمهور كبير كبير موجود بالمملكه العربيه السعوديه، هل هذا الاشي كنت انت متوقعه؟
It's always a little bit surprising to see that I have fans in different parts of the world and how many fans that I have. And yeah, the Aussie, Aussie, Aussie chants, I loved them. And I could tell they weren't Aussie. But it was great to have that support here. It means the world to me.
طبعا وقت ما اسافر حوالين العالم واشوف اي نوع من المشجعين اللي هن موجودين كثير بنبسط. وطبعا هو الموضوع شوي بيدهشني لسه الموضوع، واكيد وقت ما سمعت اوزي 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 كنت كثير مبسوط باللي انا سمعته.
Hey, hi, Abdullah from Views. Would you consider this as the toughest fight in your career? Thank you.
هل انت بتشوف انه هاي هي اخطر شو اسمه مباراة في مسيرتك المهنية؟
Definitely, but that's because my next fight is always my hardest. This guy he's the guy that's in the way. He's the guy that the story's unwritten for. He's the guy that is going to try and come out there and take everything from me on Saturday. So he definitely is the most danger, the highest risk, and I treat that very seriously, and I'm going to have to deal with it.
نعم، هي احدى او خلينا نقول اخطر المباريات اللي عندي اياها بمسيرتي المهنيه، لانه هو هيحاول ينزع مني كل إشي يوم السبت، وانا علي انه انا احارب كرمال امنع هذا الموضوع.
First of all, welcome to Saudi. We are delighted to have you here. I know you're focusing on Saturday's fight, but Du Plessis mentioned before that even if you beat Khamzat Chimaev, that he will not give you a title shot. So now you're fighting Ikram. So what's your takes on that?
كنت من قبل انت شو اسمه طبعا مبارز شمايف. هلا عيد السؤال سوري نسيته.
كان من قبل حمزة شمايف.
اوكي.
Du Plessis ذكر سابقا ان حتى لو فاز على شمايف ما راح يستحق فرصه على اللقب. الان يقاتل إكرام أليسكروف. ماذا تصور؟
اوكي.
I don't really care. It doesn't bother me. I don't really pay attention to. I find out a lot of everything other middleweights say through you guys. Like I don't notice. It doesn't affect me. It's not really on my radar.
ما كثير بكترث للموضوع. سمعت كثير من قبل بس لا اكترث بالموضوع.